Shalom, Israel. Bless you all. That's something I was been meditating on. Wanted to talk about. As you can see, I finally got everything trimmed up. It finally got warm enough here up in Indiana, consistently for me to do it. So, Pastor, I'm right behind you, man. I had to do it. Anyway, been a push lately. Pastor said many times, and Elder Rufus reiterated in his video, higher levels of holiness, and something Elder said struck me that we're gonna have to sacrifice ourselves and our own wicked, foolish, vain lives if we're gonna get to those higher levels of holiness. To get more of Yah, we gotta let go of more of ourselves. So, in thinking along the line with that, I was reading in uh, Jesus, where is it? Yeah, 1 Corinthians 6:9, where he talks about the effeminate. And let me pull it up real quick. It says, "Know ye not that the unrighteous shall not inherit the kingdom of Yah? Be not deceived, neither fornicators, nor idolaters, nor adulterers, nor effeminate, nor abusers of themselves with mankind." And goes to verse 11, tell you who won't inherit the kingdom of Yah. But I stopped on that word effeminate. Just using that Pastor said, go through looking at the word. So I was looking at that one, and it's the Greek 31:20 definition is pretty much the exact same, effeminate and soft. So then I looked it up in the Webster's English dictionary from the 1828 version, and I found that one to be pretty good. It has a lot more concrete and what's the word? It goes in depth a lot more for definitions. Uh, so I looked up effeminate, and this is what it says. It says to grow or make womanish, having the qualities of the female sex, soft or delicate to an unmanly degree, tender, womanish, voluptuous. The softness, delicacy, and weakness in men which are characteristic of the female sex, but which in males are deemed a reproach, unmanly delicacy. Okay, so I started meditating on that, and I was gonna go one route with this video, but I felt going another will be more productive for us as Israelites. I'm mainly talking to the men. Obviously, if this is talking about effeminacy, and I'm trying to explain something about it, then obviously I'm talking to the men. Uh, but the main thing I was thinking about this, the push for the higher levels of holiness that the ministry is going towards, the level of complexity and depth. And complexity, I don't mean it in the confusing kind of complexity, but just the depth of word that Yahweh's been giving Pastor to give to the sheep has been phenomenal. And I've also seen it in the push for the brothers, uh, especially on the Marco Polo and stuff, to get ourselves right, as Pastor said this past Shabbat, that these temples need to be in order. And I've seen a push in the ministry for saints to do that. So, in thinking along lines of that, the other part of the definition, and this one was linked to the voluptuousness that the first part of the definition spoke about. It says voluptuousness or indulgence in unmanly pleasures. So the softness, the delicacy, and the feminine nature that is necessary and by de facto in a woman should not be the same characteristics in a man. Pastor said it beautifully in a video that if anything worthwhile is going to be made and long lasting, especially for a tribe, for a community, for a family, it's going to be done by men. It's not going to be done by women. So it's the same reason why Moshe prayed that Yahweh would set a man over the congregation of Israel, not a woman or anything, because only by the willpower, only by the strength, the fortitude, and the grit of a man can something long lasting happen. So my point about all this is us as men, and especially living in this Western culture and trying to come out of it in the mind and the body and the spirit, is it desires to make us effeminate. Quick example about that: I was working at the gun show or the gun store, and I can't tell you how many men come in or how many males come in. I got to say that see a firearm they like, want to get it, and give me that bull crap about, oh, gotta go check with the missus, gotta get permission. If I bring home another gun, she'll kill me. Uh, one person even said, one guy even said, well, I gotta go home and ask the general, gotta go home and ask the boss. And every time I hear it, it just is disgusting. It's absolutely disgusting and repulsive uh, to hear it and to see it. And one guy tried to say, "Oh, you know how it is. I gotta go ask the wife." No, no, I don't know how it is. I don't. This is not how my house runs. Uh, One guy, after I even challenged him about it, he's like, "Well, hey, if I get this gun and my wife doesn't like it, I'm gonna send her up here. Send her ass up here, buddy. We can go toe to toe. She's not gonna like it. Not happening." But anyway, um, that should not be named so among the children of Israel, among the men of Israel. All right, we should not be given over to softness, to delicacy, to weakness. We should be strong in will and in mind, body, and spirit. Because to have those characteristics in us, as this book says, we will not inherit the kingdom of Yah. The kingdom of Yah is suffering violence, and only the violent take it by force. Because these characteristics are deemed a reproach in men. All right. The other thing it says indulgence in unmanly pleasures, as Pastor says, and Elder Austin did an excellent job of teaching this, breaking down immaturity versus maturity. As boys to men, I believe he did it during Tabernacles, if I'm not mistaken, but he did an excellent job, and I still remember that very well about how he explained the difference between a boy and a man, and that a boy will put junk and poison into his body solely because it tastes good, whereas a man is careful to make sure that he puts in his body that which is most necessary for, and that which will allow him to be of benefit and of service to everybody around him for as long as he is needed. And that has struck chords with me from that day forward. It's something I've been working on and striving to have it be a fiber in my being. So us as men, we shouldn't be given over to the indulgence in unmanly pleasures, things that do not retain our strength, things that do not strengthen our vigor, things that won't give us more virtue. We should not be dabbling in those things. We should not be overindulging in those things. All right. The other thing it says is, where was it? Some of the synonyms I was looking up at this was one is enervate, not innervate, enervate with an E. It says weaken, weak, without strength or force. To deprive of nerve, force, or strength, to weaken, to render feeble. Idleness and voluptuous indulgences enervate or weaken the body. Vices and luxury weaken the strength of state. To cut the nerves as to enervate or weaken or deprive a horse of strength and force. So it clearly says that idleness, and what does the book say to this about Sodom and Gomorrah and all those cities? The fullness of bread, the idleness of time, and the abomination is why Yahweh came and judged them. All right, we've heard the saying, the idle mind is the devil's playground. Right, so it's just something I've been meditating on. Is that more and more us being that generation to kind of start reversing all that crap that happened to us and that has happened in the past, the deception, the lies being taken over by the strong delusion, if you were familiar with Christianity or just being lost in this world. Plenty of us didn't have fathers growing up and stuff like that, and just all kind of problems stemming from matriarchy. And as we're trying to go about reestablish the patriarchy that Yahweh has set up in this book, it's going to take us as being, those first liners to reverse all of that crap. So it's going to take extra grit on our part. And as Pastor said up in Troy, Michigan, is that it's getting to the point that if we continue in this the right way and we keep going and growing and growing and growing, that eventually the children, all they have to do is maintain. And that's the whole goal, is that they don't have to work and hustle and fight so hard that as the fight is put in our court to do so, They will just have to maintain it because all of the benefits of us fighting and destroying our own flesh in the good sense, dying out to our flesh and mortifying the deeds of the body day in and day out, they won't have to struggle as much. They won't have to fight as much because that warrior spirit will already be ingrained in them. And they won't be weakened. And it says, effeminate, to make womanish, to unman, to weaken as to effeminate children. And that is something we should not be doing. And I already know, it's the ministry's goal to do the exact opposite. So I'm just getting on here just to encourage the men, strengthen the men to continue to lead their households with strength, with vigor, with power from the Most High Yah through the Ruach HaKodesh, to not be idle whatsoever at all, but to be productive, to be industrious men, to not give over to the voluptuous indulgences because they weaken the body. All right. And the other synonyms for effeminate is emasculate. All right. We all know what that means, right? It says to castrate, to deprive a male of certain parts which characterize the sex, to deprive of virility. All right. To deprive of masculine strength or vigor, to weaken, to render effeminate, to vitiate by unmanly softness. Deprived of vigor. Even castrate, meaning to deprive of the testicles, to take away, to take out, and render it imperfect. All right. So that was just meditating on that, because this system is so designed in such a wicked way to reverse the social order, reverse the things that are necessary and ingrained in us biologically. Men naturally being bigger and stronger than women, being more sound-minded than women, and just things like that. And I spoke about this before. We're constituted differently, so we should not be acting the same. We should be acting much, much different than one another, and we should be functioning in our roles. And I thank Yah for this ministry, because it's restoring patriarchy. It's restoring men in their rightful place to take the hedge, to build up their homes and their legacies. The book says that a righteous man, a wise man, leaves an inheritance for his children. So to build up through our strength, through our vigor that Yahweh gives us. Any power that we have to make wealth, he gives us, or any power we have to do anything, he gives us. And I just wanted to come on here and talk about that for a second, just to encourage us to, even when it's tough, even when it, we got to get on that grind. When anything's happened, when you're not getting a lot of sleep, when your body's aching, when anything is going on, when it's, you feel pressed in the spirit, when you feel pressed by everything around you, to just grit and grind through, to really be a man and just essentially tough it out, because it's not like anybody else is going to do it. Our children aren't going to do it. Our wives and our women are surely not going to do it. Our sisters are not going to do it. And they shouldn't anyway. It's not their role. It's our role. So I just want to encourage you all to continue follow the lead of Pastor Dow and the elders, to just be men. Just be men, and to fight against sin, hell, and the devil. Fight against your own wicked flesh, because we can't trust this heart. We can't trust these deceitful, wicked, deprived hearts. We got to trust in Yah. We got to trust in the faith of Jesus Christ and him being a man's man. I mean, it goes without saying. He was a carpenter. That's some tough labor. Okay, so he wasn't no sissy. We all know that. But just stay in the fight. Just stay in the fight. Stay in the fire, because as gold is tried in the furnace, so acceptable men. Or gold is tried in the fire, so are acceptable men in the furnace of adversity. And all of us have been deemed acceptable men. Okay, we just got to grind it out and get there. It says he searched for a righteous man. He only found one out of 1,000. And each of us that are connected to this ministry, that are fighting and growing in grace and knowledge, are one out of 1,000. So, as Pastor said, if there are men that listen to me, those are really men, because you got to be a man to listen to them, or you got to be a righteous, holy, meek woman to listen to them. So, I thank God by the grace of His election that He chose us to be a partaker of this heavenly gift, and to be in this fellowship of the unashamed. And we just got to keep grinding it out, to keep fighting every day, fighting against sin, hell, and the devil. And I just I'm encouraged by what's going on in the ministry as of late, the healing, the deliverance, the power, staying in the simplicity of Christ, the blood of Yeshua HaMashiach, and just grinding, just getting it done. So bless you all. Shalom. Stay encouraged. I'm glad that things are finally starting to warm up, and it's time to get after it. Bless you all. Shalom, shalom.